Hello and welcome back. If you have been following my channel for some time, one thing you must have noticed that all the Apache Camel tutorials you saw so far, we have been using Spring or Spring Boot framework to build, all the examples and whatever workshops we did. Um, so question comes like, no, let's say if you do not have access to Spring or Spring Boot framework in your Java application, then can you really use Apache Camel? Yes or no? Good news here is that you can actually use Apache Camel without, using Spring or Spring Boot framework. You can actually build standalone application using Apache Camel. Okay, which is a great news over here because I have seen like no, there are several applications which are still not using Spring Boot or other such frameworks. So what we're going to do in this particular workshop today, we will try to build a standalone application using Apache Camel, and we'll try to implement a very kind of easy to follow small example as well. So the agenda for this particular workshop is we will build an empty Maven project. Okay, it's not going to have anything. We are not going to use the start.spring.io because this is not a Spring boot tutorial. It's a pure Apache Camel standalone application tutorial. Um, then we'll try to build a very small example using Apache Camel. Okay, and we'll of course demo the app, and we'll also look at some of the management capabilities the standalone application can give you, such as like monitoring the health of your application and looking the internal state of your application. How many exchanges are there? How many failures are there? What's the current context? What's the JVM details, etc., etc. All right, so first thing first, as I promised, first thing we're going to do is we're going to build an empty Maven project. Okay, so what I have done over here is I'm using Maven archetype generate plugin to generate an empty shell project. Okay, so have a look over here. What I have done, I have given the group ID called com.sagu.myapp and artifact ID, I'm calling it camel standalone. Okay, just for demo purposes, and then you have to kind of give a bunch of stuff. So press enter. What you will then notice that a project or an empty project has been created for you. So if I just do that for you, and as you can see, camel standalone is created. Okay, so I did this already a few minutes ago, so just to save us time, so I have loaded this project in IntelliJ, and then what I did basically, so I added bunch of dependencies which you will be requiring, okay, in order to kickstart standalone Apache Camel based project. So one thing you would like to add is Camel core. Okay, at the at the recording of this session, at the time of recording of this session, I'm using Camel version 4.0.0. Okay, so try to have Camel 4 or greater, and I'm using JDK 17 over here to build this particular example. Another dependency you will be requiring is camel main. Okay, so this is the dependency which will be required in order to kind of build standalone camel based application. Okay, and then I have also added a component called camel timer, so that will help us to build a quick route, okay, where we'll be trying to ping something and then and see how it's working. Okay, and then I have added a bunch of optional dependencies which will help me to kind of monitor the health of application. I'll be able to launch a console. I'll be able to see a bunch of stuff over there. In apart from that, I have added the log4j stuff. I have added Lombok. Lombok is one of my favorite open source projects. It helps even with Java 17. I still like to use Lombok. I think it's quite nice and neat. And then we have some plugins for Lombok plus to run our application independently from console or using Maven. All right, so first thing what we like to do is we like to build our application. Okay, so if I go over here, I'm going to create one simple Java class. Let's call it my main app. Okay, that's it. Okay, so if you are building a standalone application, one thing you have to have is called a static method. Yeah, public static void main. So that's the bare minimum thing you required in Java world to build an application which can be run independently, which can be started from a terminal. Once you've done that, now what we have to do is we have to kind of add some camel stuff, and then tell camel registries, camel contacts that this is my application, and just pass on those details to camel so it can kind of take control of our application. And then from that point onward, I think it doesn't matter whether you're using Spring or any other framework, or using Apache Camel standalone. After that, kind of behavior is more or less seamless and same. I'll show you in a second. So one thing you want to do is you want to use this class called main, which is coming from org Apache Camel. Okay, import that, just call it main, new main. Inside this application we'll have to, sorry, inside this particular class, and in this constructor we have to pass the name of your main class where this main method is sitting. Okay, so I'm just going to pass that. You may remember, like, if you have been kind of building Spring Boot application, we do more or less same thing. Like, you say Spring Boot application as an annotation, and then you say Spring Boot dot start, and then you pass your class name, and then you just run it. Okay, second thing you probably have to do is main dot run. You can just do main dot run like that, or you can pass the arguments. Okay, just in case, like, you want to pass some arguments which can control the behavior of your or of your application. So I'm gonna do that, even though I'm not thinking of passing any arguments right now, but that's what I'm going to do. As you can see, there is a little error shown over here. The reason is because this method throws exceptions. So what we can simply do is we can say add exception to this particular method, and boom, the error is gone. So at this point, your application or standalone camel application is ready. So what I'm simply going to do is, like, it's always good idea, as you're building the application, test it. Okay, test it, so you don't have to kind of troubleshoot so many things. You will be able to incrementally build the application and troubleshoot as you go along. Okay, wonderful. So as you can see, my application, Apache Camel application, it's saying it's starting, and then a bunch of stuff is there, i.e. it's scanning the packages for beans, and, like, roots, etc. And then rest of the stuff which Camel is doing. Okay, we have the Camel server, etc. Configured as well. I'll show you that in a minute. So our Camel application is started. What is the main thing in Camel? If you, again, you know a little bit about Camel, or you have been following my videos, the one thing you will have to do is, first thing, you'll have to build root. Okay, so let's just try to build a very simple root over here. So I'm going to call it my, let's call it my app root builder. I'm going to prefix everything with my app in this session. It's easier. Yeah, my app root builder. But of course, when you're building, like, production grade application, you'll have nice packages, you'll be kind of putting stuff here and there. I'm going to drop everything in this particular package called comsagu my app. Okay, just to keep things simpler. So what we do over here, we simply say extends root builder. Okay, so root builder, because we have added camel core, all these things should be available to us. All right, let's zoom in a little bit. First thing, you will always notice that as you're building or extending a root builder, you have to implement a method called configure. There we go. Okay, that's the only thing you have to do. All right, so I'm going to over here, I'm going to say from. Yeah, what we want to do from, I can use direct, or I can use any component. Since we have not imported anything, and if I do direct over here, I need some sort of client which can invoke this particular endpoint. So what we want to do is, just for demonstration purpose, I would like to use a component which is kind of which can run automatically, like some sort of timer base or some sort of pinger base. Yeah, so the component I am interested using it, and you probably notice that I use this particular component a lot. Okay, I'm simply going to call it my app timer. If I don't specify any time, I think it's going to trigger the event every 1 second, but let's try to put period, and we are saying please every 5 seconds you do something. And what we want to do at this point, we want to just log an entry. Okay, and what we want to log is um, just put these two carets and print whatever is in the body. But just notice body is going to be empty at this point. So what we can probably do is we can just say process. Okay, um, and we can say p dot get message. Do I have a set message? Yeah, p dot set message. Sorry, we'll have to say get message and then set body. Yeah, get message, and then if I say set body. All right. Okay, so what I can do over here is just for demonstration purposes, if I scroll a little bit to right, so you guys can see the screen fully. So I'm saying just populate, the date. Okay, so the body will now have date, and every 5 seconds we will be simply printing the body. All right, because we don't have any other way to populate body. I don't have a bean at this point. We'll probably try to add a bean as well. Okay, just to demonstrate in standalone world how can you actually create beans, how you can register. Anyways, that will come in a second, step by step. Okay, always good idea. So if I run my application now, hopefully everything should work. Okay, and what we will see every 5 seconds, we should have something printing over here for us if everything goes as per plan. Okay, as you can see, things actually are going as per the plan. Every 5 seconds, you notice, okay, there is a ping coming every 5 seconds. 27, then 35, 31, then 37, 42. Brilliant. Okay, so as we can see, this thing is now coming from here. Okay, because we have these two carets, and every 5 seconds we are printing that. So good news here is at this point we have managed to build a standalone camel application, okay, which is basically has a very simple route, and this route is working. Now that we are here, and as I promised a few seconds ago, we'll try to invoke a bean. Okay, and that will actually tell us how we can create bean in standalone world, because the most important thing will be when you're creating a bean, you probably like to register that bean in camel registry, so it can be kind of automatically picked up or fetched at some point. Yeah, sounds like a good idea. So let's do one thing. Let's create a bean. Bean is nothing but a simple pojo, and okay, it may or may not have a method, but I might call it my app bean. All right, we don't need to do anything, no fancy stuff. Private string name, that's about it. Okay, and I'm gonna have a method over here. Okay, because I want to demonstrate two things: one, how to create a bean; second, how to invoke a method from a bean. So I'm gonna simply say public, it's gonna return something. Say my name. Say my name. Okay, and what we can do is we can just prefix with this word called hello, and whatever you pass is going to return simply. Okay, now we need because it's a bean, you probably like to have a getter and setter. So what you can simply do is you can just use data from Lombok. Okay, that's why I like Lombok so much. Now as you can see, like how nice it is. Again, I'm not using any Java 17 features, so I know it can be done, but I'm going to ignore it, and I'm simply going to say all our constructor. Boom, done. So our bean has been created, but I can't start using this bean. Okay, let's see what happens if I use bean. Okay, I think it's a good idea. I'm gonna stop this because I'm not gonna print the body at this point. Instead, I'm simply gonna say bean, and I'm saying my app bean. Okay, and because I have to invoke a method, and as you know, if a bean has just single method, you don't need to specify the name, but just for readability perspective, I'm just gonna say my name. Okay, now if I run this now, what will happen is it's gonna fail. Why it's gonna fail? Because it's saying, hang on, I can't see what do you mean by my app bean. One, we are not kind of creating this particular we are not initializing this particular class over here. It doesn't know where this word is coming from, what it actually means. Okay, so there are two ways. You can create a new object for my app bean. Okay, or the downside would be that, you know, each time you invoke, it's going to create a new object of it. Probably sometime you don't want to do that. You can follow some pattern, singleton, etc. But what we simply want to do is we want to rather create object once and put it into the camel registry, so it can be kind of accessed again. See, again, Spring way of doing things. So in order to do that, what you have to do is you have to create a class called my app configuration. So I'm just going to create a class called my app configuration. Over here you have to decorate this particular class with configuration. Again, very you know, Spring way of doing things. I love the way, you know, the Apache Camel guys have done or try to do this standalone thing. It's very kind of close to how Spring works. So there is no kind of, you know, learning curve for the people who are coming from Spring or Spring Boot world. Yeah, it's very easy to follow. So if you know, in configuration, in Spring world, you know, you can initialize a bean over here. Okay, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So first thing I'm going to do is public my app bean, so it will return, and I'm app bean. So this is the name we mentioned in the root. All right, hope you remember that. Now over here, what I can do is I can actually, let's demo one more thing. What if I have to consume a property from, let's say, from a configuration file? So name over here. Okay, and then I'm simply saying string name, so no comma over here. Okay, and then what we can simply do is we can simply say new my app bean, and you just pass the name. Well and good at this point. Yeah, so we have created a very simple public method called myappbean. It's getting injection of you know, this property called name, which you have to specify, and then it's just creating a kind of object of this particular class and returning it. But we have not yet told camel registry to register this particular bean. Yeah, so it's not automatically just going to scan all the public methods and start registering them. You have to actually tell them that bind to registry. That's the only annotation you have to use. Okay, and all the magic will be done for us. Very nice and neat. If I run this particular application now, I think it's going to complain saying I can't find this particular property. Okay, so maybe we should specify it. Yeah, it's not going to like it. Yeah, as you can see, it's saying property with key blah 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 not found. There might be ways of kind of, you know, optionalizing it or not making it mandatory, but I haven't played that much. So what we'll have to do is I'll go to this application properties which I have dropped in my resources folder. Over here I'm simply gonna say name equal to Jaswinder. By by the way, guys, what I have noticed, like, you know, when people reply, they leave comments, which is very nice. Thank you, by the way. And when you guys also email me, you say hi Sagu. My surname is Sagu. My first name is actually Jaswinder. So intentionally, I'm using this property so I can today ask you guys or tell you guys that my first name is Jaswinder. Okay, you can pronounce as Jaswinder or Jaswinder or however, but my first name is Jaswinder. Okay, um, and Sagu is my surname. So my full name is Jaswinder Singh Sagu. Anyways, enough of my introduction. So if I run the application now, what will happen? We should see Jaswinder printed along with hello. Oh, there we are. There we are. All right. Can you see? I hope you can see it. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more. I hope camera is not hiding or killing that bit. Probably it is, but let me just try to increment. Okay, so as you can see over here, info hello Jaswinder is getting printed. Is that good? Okay, so as you can see over here, Probably you can't see it. Anyways, you can see behind me every 5 seconds there is a little ticker coming which is printing this thing called hello Jaswinder. Awesome. So what we have demoed or what we have seen so far, we have created a standalone app, we have created a very simple route, we used a component, we created a bean, we registered a bean, we also created a configuration, we took a configuration value from application properties. So many things we have done. Okay, at this point you're just kind of ready to implement your business use case, and everything will be there. Okay, now one more thing which I think I promised that. What did I promise? The standalone camel or camel main or camel core has couple of capabilities to monitor if you add the right dependencies. Okay, and then you invoke stuff in your application properties. So let's just have a look what we have in application properties. What we have in the application properties, what I have added is I've given a name to my app. So I think that's what get printed when you start the application. We are just enabling some developer related stuff. Yeah, server is enabled. Yeah, context is dev console. There's health check enabled. Blah blah blah. All these things. Perfect. If you now, when you start your application, two URIs will be shown to you that you can use. Okay, let's start with this one first. It's saying q.health. As you can see, the status is coming as up. Okay, which means application is healthy. If you want to monitor the health of the application from outside, you can do that. Again, it reminds me of actuator in Spring. Okay, which is very nice way of kind of checking the or observing the health of your application from the outside. The second and more detailed endpoint over here is called, it's for dev, as name suggests. It has bunch of endpoints. Okay, you can see the bean information. If I click on bean, it's saying this is the bean which was registered, and then maybe some internal stuff. Okay, if we step back, how many kind of exchanges which are blocked, what is the context, what are registry information, event, health, gc, blah 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 blah. There are bunch of things. You can reload these stuff. Okay, um, root circuit breaker, root dump, source thread top, whatever. Okay, so this is quite useful stuff, as you can see over here. um, I think we have reached to the end of this particular tutorial. So what you notice that with minimum efforts, like we have built very nice powerful, what do you say, java standalone java application using Apache Camel. Yeah, that's what we have done. All right, I hope you enjoyed this particular session. If you have enjoyed, please whatever, subscribe, like, leave a comment, leave feedback. Feedback is very very important and essential for me. Thanks for watching, thanks for your time. I will see you in the next video, hopefully. Bye for now.